to Sports Extra, another episode coming to you on a Monday, and I'm joined by Delight Gosha, who will be my expert, or rather my pundit today, as we discuss a couple of issues. It was an interesting weekend, not so interesting for Arsenal fans, a little bit dull for Man United fans, great for Liverpool and Chelsea fans, and we're going to be talking about the Premier League there. How are you doing in the fantasy football? I hope you have joined the Sports Extra Fantasy Football League. We're also going to be talking a little bit about what's happening on the local scene. Two squads have been announced. That is South Africa, that is Ethiopia. In fact, three. Ghana have also announced their squad, but Zimbabwe has not yet announced their squad. So we can hope that maybe by tomorrow the squad will be announced, the Warrior squad for World Cup qualifiers. But we're going to be talking a bit more about what is happening on the local football scene. And then we're also going to be talking a little bit about athletics, but this time on the international scene. A certain lady who is making more noise on social media than she is making on the track, Shakari Richardson there. So we're going to talk a bit about that. So make sure you stay locked on. Don't forget to like our Facebook page. Don't forget to share our content, as well as to comment and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's a Sports Extra ZW. But our Facebook and Instagram handles are at Sports Extra Zim. So we're going to see you on the other side of the break. All right, so let's get straight into it and start off with the footballing side of things. Well, not much of it is being done here in Zimbabwe, but there was an appeal made by Xtra to have 10,000 spectators in for the match against Bafana Bafana. We are set to play South Africa in the FIFA World Cup qualifiers, and we haven't yet announced the team, so I'm not so sure why we're calling for 10,000 supporters, but quite interesting for Xtra to be calling on this, particularly when local football has not returned.
Yeah, you tend to wonder the motive behind the call for fans, and we're still in the COVID era in Zimbabwe. It's still ravaging. People are still dying, and the government is so strict when it comes to numbers. And calling 10,000 fans, and like you mentioned, we haven't had local football, and even if local football was there, it was going to be an empty stadium. So the motive behind this, whoever is coming up with these decisions at Xtra, I think they need to rethink.
Yeah, I mean, whilst talking about rethinking certain decisions, I think as well, you have got a PSL, which is also part of Xtra. We know that Mr. Farai Jere sits as part of the executive committee of Xtra and things like that. The kinds of conversations that need to be happening are, how can we safely get club football back,
Yes.
rather than be talking about fans, particularly for just one international assignment at the present moment.
Yeah. You also, besides that, I was thinking, are they going to ask for 10,000 vaccinated fans? Seriously,
Yeah.
those are the things that they need to look into. And like you mentioned, the issue of how to get the local football back. Previously, they had planned a tournament. It was for 8 teams, and now the first thing is put the first things first. Let's have local football. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how the fans come to the stadium, the response, etc., and then you move on to these international scenes.
Well, internationally, we do want the support. I mean, let's be
Yes.
honest, we do
It's
want
true,
the
it's true.
support. But also at the same time, we have to take into consideration the lockdown measures that are currently in effect in the country. And then we also have to take into consideration that we haven't even named a squad. I mean, how does that happen?
I'm thinking, are they going to select people from our local clubs? How? What's going to be the criteria to select people?
I mean, we're busy talking about getting fans into the stadium, but we haven't even selected a squad. All the other members of our group have selected their squad.
Yeah, the South African Premier League has started, and other leagues as well, not knowing how they were dealing with the coronavirus. We know it was a global pandemic. So for Zimbabwe, I think we are in the times that are even harder because the virus is still there. So, uh, like I said, the criteria to select the local players, how are they going to select the local player? Because I believe even local coaches in their own club, they will have some trouble selecting their own players for their own club. So how is Logarosic going to do that?
Select FC Platinum, since they are the only ones who are currently training, preparing for CAF Champions League. But it seems like as if they're going to be going for an international feel in terms of looking for international players. But some of
Oh,
them are not playing in the best divisions. So you can be calling someone like a David Moyer from Scotland playing for Hamilton
or
in
even someone
Scotland.
from North Korea.
Yeah.
Really?
Or Malaysia or Singapore. But we've got challenges in that regard, and you kind
Yeah.
of feel like the boat is just simply going to sail in the direction that we've always known it to sail. That is not qualifying for the World Cup because we are just not prepared. Because this is just like a qualification phase,
Yes.
and then we're going to go into another phase which will then determine who are the 5 teams that will then go to the World Cup. So I think at the end of the day we have shot ourselves in the foot, and we continue to do so by just not being organized. So I would feel, and I don't know, maybe you may agree with this, that Zifa at this point should be looking at, let us name our squad,
Yeah.
let us make sure that our camping is done right, let us continue to push the issue of bringing local football back.
Yeah, you're saying very true. It's very true. I feel also for the local players. I feel also for the local players. You look at the situation like a club like the Islanders, is mass player exodus. Washington Arubi said he's leaving, and you think and you are we going to select players only from FA Platinum? We don't even know if they are good enough
Yeah.
for our team. And looking at the international players, I think 1 or 2, 3 players are playing well, even though they are playing lower divisions. I was saying even Tendai Darikwa scored some goal during the week, etc. But even Marshall Mnetz, he scored a goal. So that's the only players that we are going to look at. But like you said, I think the ship is going to sink again because we are not yet serious. We are still basing on Logarosic, like really, in this time. That guy should have been gone. He's not even good enough. He's got no tactics. I think he has won 1 match of 11, and so I don't see ourselves qualifying. Even if we had a whole strong squad, Logarosic was going to come up with something that we are going to.
Well, it's definitely going to be interesting, but anyway, we're going to keep tabs on that. Whilst also talking about that, I'll quickly switch to cricket, and we didn't get to talk about it off air, but it was great. Well done, Lady Chevrons. They came up with a series win against Thailand. They won the last match yesterday, and then the woes continued for our emerging side in Namibia as they were hammered by about 137 runs plus. A target of 367 was set, and they were able to get to around about 200 and something. But also at the same time, the people that scored 50s were just simply slogging. I'm not so sure
Yeah.
whether they were playing at a primary school ground, because you would just hear 6-4, 6-4, 6-4. So I'm not so sure what was happening there. And when you get the likes of Carl Mumba, who is mainly a bowler, scoring those kinds of runs, we know he can wield the willow, but he's not somebody who should be making more runs than a Roy Kaia,
That's
who
very
comes
true.
out with a duck and things like that. But well done to the Lady Chevrons. They've got an ICC women's cricket qualifier tournament coming up later on. And that is from around about the 21st of September. So it's coming up pretty soon. But this time round, it will have the likes of Pakistan, Sri Lanka,
No, it's going
all
to be
those. Yeah.
it's going to be a challenge for them. Preparation is all that's very important. But for a confidence boost, the win over Thailand was very good. Was very good. They played well. I think going into the Pakistan's etc, they will be full of confidence and try to win.
Yeah, and considering the fact that they did play Pakistan, the results weren't so great, and unfortunately the tour was cut short because of COVID-19. Hopefully this time around they will have different tactics, which means Adam Chifoy has got a whole lot of planning and
Yeah.
tactics to draw up in order to make that happen. Well, anyway, let's move away from the local scene and let's go onto the international scene. And I want to start off with the athletics story before we then go full on into into the footballing stuff. So, in any case,
Yeah.
we saw a very interesting race in Eugene. All eyes were on the women's 100-meter race,
Yeah.
and an interesting race, I might add. The reason why I'm laughing is because there was more social media attention than there was on what actually happened in the race. So, Shakari Richardson, she's the American sprinter who got banned for a month after she tested positive for cannabis after the US trials. She was supposed to go for the Tokyo Olympics. She couldn't make it for that because she had cannabis in her system. And then this Diamond League meeting comes in Eugene, in Canada, the time for her to prove herself, because she had run a very good time and everybody was talking about it and saying, she dresses like Flo Jo, long nails like Flo Jo, long hair with color and everything like that. And she was paired up against all of the medalists from Tokyo, the
Yeah.
three Jamaican women, the African in Marie Jose
Yeah.
Talou, and all those. And then she goes in the race and she comes last. She ran 11 seconds. And then when she was done with the race, then she was like, don't count me out. Count me out on your own peril. It's just one race. I am arguably the sixth fastest woman in the world. I was like, already that tells us something. You're sixth fastest,
Yeah.
meaning that you are not the fastest.
But you can't even claim that you're six passes when you came last. What's your basis? What was your basis?
Yeah, well, she's saying I ran a good time at the USA trials. But yeah, okay, you were full of cannabis. But anyway, let's put that aside. At the end of the day, Shakari Richardson, many are touting her to become the next sprint queen. But that couldn't be further from the truth, don't you think?
Yeah, it might be, but like you said, I think she started very bad, testing for positive for a banned substance. You remember the Marion Jones? She was a very fast US sprinter in the ladies category, and then later on she tested positive and she had to be stripped of all the titles. So that was so poor of her. Whosoever gave him cannabis or the idea to use cannabis. Look at Felix. She's so clean.
Yeah.
And she runs well. And the I think is the affinity to become the best. Like what you're saying, she comes out trying to defend herself. Don't call me out. I think it's getting into her. It's getting into her. It's getting into her very bad. She needs some counseling. She needs to revive her career. And probably maybe she will be a sprint queen, but I'm not for her.
Yeah, well, look, I think for me, from a practical point of view, chokwadi chaicho.
Yeah.
The truth is, you've got the likes of Elaine Thompson Hera. She's only 29 years of age now. She's got a good maybe 3 to maybe about 4 years still left within her in order to be running track, particularly 100 meters and 200 meters.
True.
I'm sure she's going to push to be at the Paris 2024 games. 2024 games, and that's only 3 years away. So Elaine Thompson Hera will be 32 at the time, and she can more than able run in that race. Then you've got Shelley Ann Fraser Price, who you might think most probably won't run in those Paris games because of her age.
Yes.
But you've got a Sherika Jackson, who's 21, 22 years of age, who came third, and I mean, she was only going to get better.
That's very true. I was looking at the under 20 Olympics. I saw 1-2 Jamaicans finishing 1-2. Those ladies are coming as well. 90-20, because they will be at their prime. That will be 22, 23 in the next 3 years.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough for her. It's going to be tough.
It's going to be super tough. And then you've also got Gabby Daniels, who's also from the States, who's seemingly improving as well with time. So the level of competition is going to be ridiculous. I think for her, as you rightly said, that this is the time for her to hunker down, get some advice,
Yes.
keep quiet, work on the track, and ultimately prove the results on the track.
And stay off social media.
Just to stay off it.
She should stay off social media, because even if she's going to win, it's going to be hard for people to really say, actually, she's good, because of her record. That is going to be to put a dent in all her successes if they are to come. People will just say, maybe the WADA was just saying, no, let her win. For this time, we cannot go on her again and say she's positive. It's going to be hard for her, but like you said, I think maybe she might win, but the competition is growing.
Yeah,
Day
it's a
by day.
stiff. It's a stiff. All right, well, anyway, that's athletics news, and let her continue on her social media rant. And we're just going to see whether that, is going to show itself up in any kind of way. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about football. Serie A returned over the weekend, as well as Premier League action. It was game week 2, even across the board in the Bundesliga, in the Spanish La Liga as well. So we're going to be talking all about that. So stay locked on to Sports Extra. Now, welcome to our last segment. Don't forget to like, to share, to comment, as well as subscribe. Our Facebook and Instagram handles at Sports Extra Zim. And then, if you want to subscribe to our Facebook page, it's a Sports Extra ZW. Now, Delight, let's go into the meat of the matter, particularly for the weekend. Yesterday was the London Derby in the Premier League. And we're going to be talking about Arsenal-Chelsea. So let's just slightly shelf that one. But an overall look at game week 2. It was interesting times. Others got off to a flyer last weekend, and then they were checked this weekend. So I'll start off with Manchester United, a 1-0 draw against Southampton. Many thought that they would kick on from the 5-1 win against Leeds, but it looks like it's the same old Ole back at it again.
One step forward, 2 steps back. So I was actually shocked. I thought Man U are going to just brush aside that Southampton side. When looking at the poor sides in EPL, I'm actually going for Southampton to be in the relegation side. So looking at how they performed their first game, it was against Everton, right? When they were leading 1-0, and then suddenly they just lost 3-1. So and Ole comes from a 5-1 win, and everyone was expecting that maybe Fernandes was going to do something. Pogba was, wow, first game he was just mesmerizing, and he's like when you're looking at how he's like the lineup for Ole, Pogba is now being at the left wing, and you look where back then when he was at Juventus, he was also playing that kind of position. So he's trying to bring the best out of him, and we are seeing it. But to draw with Southampton, really, I'm not sure. Do they need Cavani in that side? Marshall was just nowhere to be seen, like always.
Yeah, look, I think at the end of the day, Cavani right now is a stopgap measure. We can say papering over the cracks.
Yeah.
To use Mason Greenwood as an outright number 9, I think is far too early. He hasn't matured into that, so we did need a striker. Someone of the likes of Harry Kane would have really helped Manchester United, but at the moment it seems like Man United are not in for him after the big spend on Jadon Sancho. So I think Manchester United yesterday just fell back into that slump of last season, whereby indecisiveness playing out of the back. So you've got a Harry Maguire. He's no good playing out of the back. If he watches this video, I love you, man. You're the captain of Manchester United, but you are no good playing out of the back. Same with Victor Lindelof. We just don't know how to play out of the back. Manchester City, you can press them with 5 people. They can play out of the back.
That's very true.
Liverpool, they know how to do it. Chelsea, they know how to do it. Manchester United does not know how to play out of the back, and they need to stop it forthwith. That's what I must say. They must stop it forthwith. And then when you look at the midfield again, challenges. You've got Fred and Matic. Matic now slow. We know his class, but he's now
Yes,
slow. And also
he's
at the same
aging as
time,
well.
he's more defensive minded than he is attack minded. So you've got that challenge that was there in the middle of the park. And as you rightly put it, Marshall was just out of form, and I think we do need to sell him as quickly as possible. I think he has done his bit, he's done his part. I don't think he's got the right attitude for Manchester United. I don't think he's contributing anything. Maybe if we were to send him back into that left wing position, try to get him to play alongside Pogba in that regard. But the problem is, Marshall does not have a work rate. He doesn't work hard. He doesn't track back.
I think it's going to be hard for him going into the season. Also, like what you're saying, trying to position him back to left wing. We've got Rashford is coming. Sancho. I'm not sure why Sancho isn't starting. Why is he still being kept for the grant? I don't know. Maybe there is a grant game that is going to be introduced. But I thought maybe I was going to start, or maybe Ole just say, this is Southampton. Greenwood, you can as well do what you did in the first game. But Marshall, I don't even think he has really lived to what people expected of him. The first game when he came against Liverpool, when he just brushed aside Sketo, people thought he is going to be the next Ronaldo. I would say that the next Ronaldo coming from the left wing, scoring goals, but it has not been the case.
Oh yes, it has not been the case. Others even calling him a fake Thierry Henry, but which is quite unfortunate. But
Yeah.
anyway, let's move away from that and let's look at other performances. So Liverpool, a good 2-0 win against Burnley. Burnley, we know it's a tough side, but
Yes.
Liverpool were in total control of that game. And what a performance from the young Harvey Elliott.
Wow, I was so much moved by what Harvey Elliott did, and he has got a coach who's got so much great belief in him, and I like what Klopp is doing. He's trying to play around the midfield. When you look at the midfield that started the game, the first game it was Oxlade-Chamberlain, Keita, and Milner. And then you come in the second game, it was Jordan Henderson, Keita, and Harvey Elliott. So he's trying to rotate his team, especially at the midfield.
Oh yes,
Something
that
we-
is important.
That is very important. Something we have not seen of Klopp of late, even the previous seasons. He had always stick to his trusted brigadiers. Maybe it's Fabinho, Henderson, and somebody else. But those two always start. But also looking at Jota, wow, what a player. What a player. He's playing very well. He's scoring goals. He's always positioned correctly. I'm not sure if Klopp is going to call Firmino again because the defending striker attitude whatsoever is not working.
Yeah.
Not,
All right, he hasn't been scoring goals, but I think he falls into what Klopp loves as a person who provides work rate. And Firmino tends to step up and score goals in the big games. So maybe he's being preserved for a Chelsea or a Tottenham or well, Tottenham is maybe not necessarily a big game anymore, but anyway.
but what I
Yeah.
would say is, if he's going to be reserved for a game like Chelsea, there's going to be backlash from the fans before the game, an hour before the game when the lineup is being announced or published, because people are now seeing great work from Jota.
Yeah, agreed. I think just Liverpool are in a fantastic space. The question will always continue to be with quite a number of the players in the squad reaching their 30s, will they be able to be sustainable throughout the season? Already we've seen something good from Klopp, and that is trying to rotate the squad, ensure that he can rest some of his players. But there's that big question, like for example, what will happen if just if you have a Sadio Mane and Diogo Jota injured? Will an Origi be able to come back and step up to the plate? We know that Shaqiri is also about to leave to go to Lyon. So in that sense, there will be questions.
It's so hard to imagine why Liverpool are not investing. Why are they not buying They have had great seasons. But look at the clubs around them, Manchester City, Manchester United, they keep on bringing the Grealish. They bring in Jordan Sancho. Look at Chelsea. Despite winning the Champions League,
They added
despite
Lukaku.
having 4 or 5 excellent forwards who are actually in their prime, 23, around 20 to 25, they bring in Lukaku. But Liverpool, they just bring in Konate. And you wonder why. Okay, the reason why is he had three of his trusted CBs injured last season. They are all back, and you bring in Konate. But
Squad depth, I guess.
squad,
Okay, he doesn't. And he's a Liverpool fan,
Yeah,
I must say. to
I'm a-
just put things in perspective.
I'm a Liverpool fan. I thought maybe we were going to invest in 1 or 2 forwards.
Nah, all right.
Yeah, 1 or 2 forwards probably. Yes, we have Jota. He's doing well. I really thought we were going to sell Origi.
Yeah.
Shaqiri is gone. Yeah, we have Minamino. He's good, but it seems Klopp doesn't really trust him. Whenever he's fielding him, he's actually fielding him in a wrong position. Those that work rate, attacking defensive striker, we don't even know whatever.
Attacking defensive striker.
But he's
That's new. I would love to hear from you, particular Scouser fans. But anyway, let's quickly move on from that and then now go to the London derby. It was North versus West. North being Arsenal, West being Chelsea, and it was total dominance by Chelsea. Lukaku scoring on debut. Fantastic, well-worked goal.
Yeah.
And then the second goal coming through from Reece James. What a performance by Chelsea, stamping their authority against Arsenal. But did we expect any different?
I expected something different. To be honest, I was watching Sky Sports News, and Edward David Seaman was saying we have had some good performances over Chelsea. I think the previous 4 or 5 results was Arsenal winning over Chelsea. So I thought maybe Arteta was going to come out trumps and win this game, but wow, Chelsea are just too strong. They were brushed aside.
Yeah, but talking about that, I mean, it's not elementary mistakes, but you would feel at the level of the Premier League, there were elementary mistakes from Arteta. You had a Bukayo Saka who's coming through and who's seeming leggy, maybe because of the Euro 2020s, but who's seeming leggy. And at the left-hand side of their midfield, he was not tracking back, giving tons and acres of space for Reece James to keep on coming in and be providing those crosses, which also led to the Lukaku goal, which also led to the goal that he scored as well, because nobody was marking him. Kieran Tierney was overly concerned about Lukaku, so was Pablo Mari, so was Rob Holding. Everybody was so concerned about Lukaku that they gave space for the other Chelsea players to do what they had to do.
Chelsea, I think everyone can see that a goal can come from anywhere from Chelsea, from the Chelsea players. You've got Kai Havertz, he's a proven goal scorer. Mason Mount, he provided the assist for the second goal. He's a proven goal scorer. Lukaku, the center of attention was on Lukaku, and they were so scared of him. They were so scared of him that, like we said, the attention shifted from all the players were focused on Lukaku. But I also feel for Arsenal and Arteta, they have some of their good players who are injured. There's no Thomas Partey. Their captain, Aubameyang, as well. So I think some of these factors, but obviously that cannot be an excuse. That cannot be,
Absolutely.
especially in EPL.
Yeah, I mean, look, let's look at some positive performances, because Arsenal fans will think that we're just bashing them. Emil Smith-Rowe has been consistent for them, so he's definitely someone who deserves to be in the starting lineup. Kieran Tierney, we all know the quality he brings from the left-back position, the crosses he provides in the box.
Actually thinking he's in the wrong club.
Yeah, actually, I would bid for Manchester United to buy Tierney off and be back up to the likes of Luke Shaw. But in any case, looking at Albert Lukonga, I thought he had a brilliant game. I thought he was really doing well, particularly within the first half, as Arsenal came out of the blocks and tried to impose themselves. I think Albert Lukonga was pretty much at the center of that. And I think these are some positives that Arteta can take going forward.
It's very true. That squad is not even bad. When you look at their first 11, they brought in also Odegaard. He's going to come in. We saw what he is capable of last season. And when like the players that I said who are injured, when they come back, it's going to be a full-strength squad. And also at his youth, Baba Wakachke, Ben White. I'm not sure. Maybe he was just injured, but maybe Arteta, these are just conspiracy. Maybe Arteta thought he's just coming in, he's a 50 million tag. He's got a 50 million tag on him, and Lukaku was going to bully him when he came, and that would also affect him in terms of his confidence. So I think Arsenal going forward, they're a good team. They're a good team, but they face Man City again the next fixture. Wow.
It gets bad to worse for Mikel Arteta, in particular with the next fixture that's coming up, because Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang saw a bit of minutes, and we saw the kind of runs he was making with better quality. Maybe they actually could have pulled themselves back into the match. There were also close chances for Emil Smith-Rowe as well to try and get the goal or the goals that they needed in order to get back into the match. But at the end of the day, you just kind of feel that Arsenal are in a pretty pickle. I don't see Mikel Arteta, if he gets beaten against Man City and maybe loses the next game, I don't see him surviving past these, and I don't see him going past January. At the end of the day, results are needed. I think they've got an over-ambitious board who would be thinking that Arsenal would be in the top 4. I think Europa League place finish would be decent for them at the present moment. Continue in the Europa League and add more players to the side, and then maybe they can challenge for titles in the next 2 or so seasons. But I think Arteta is struggling right now.
I think it's going to be even harder for them to reach the Europa places. You're looking at the top 4 for now. We've removed Arsenal for a long time. That's Chelsea, Manchester City, Liverpool, Manchester United. And then you have got Tottenham. I'm not sure where they are. You've got a West Ham who's on fire. You've got Leicester City.
Everton as well is going to be strong, yeah.
So I think it's going to be hard for them if they stay with Arteta. They stick with him. Maybe they just think he is going to come out with some magic. And make the squad good as well. Like you're saying, their next matches, they face Manchester United, and the next match will be against Norwich. Probably they are going to face Norwich, who's going to be on 0 points.
Who will be wanting to get a result.
And it's going to be a very tough game for them as well, because Norwich will be like, if Brentford will do this,
we can
as well.
That is always the biggest challenge whenever things happen like that. But anyway, let's quickly go to Serie A. It started over this weekend, and
what a performance for my team. The champions.
So Inter Milan clearly moving on from losing Romelu Lukaku to that move to Chelsea. Edin Dzeko coming through, and on debut alongside Hakan Çalhanoğlu, Dzeko scoring twice, Çalhanoğlu scoring once, and it was Skriniar, I believe, who scored a bullet header. So it seems like things haven't changed.
Yeah, it seems like things haven't changed. I was looking at the formation. He's coming up with a 3-5-1-1 formation. And I was happy to see Stefan Sensi being brought back into the squad. The squad is very good. Obviously, he's playing in the Eriksen position. We all know what happened to Eriksen. We just wish him a speedy recovery as well. But overall, they have a very strong squad as well. They brought in Dumfries.
That was a quality buy.
Quality buy, and you're looking at selling Hakimi for a very big fee and buying Dumfries for a bargain fee. Wow. That was great business. Edin Dzeko is a proven Italian goal scorer in terms of in Serie A. So I'm not sure if he's going to bring the Lukaku goals in him. And remember also Lautaro Martinez. I'm yet to see how Lautaro Martinez is going to
link up with Dzeko.
Link up with Dzeko. And also not sure Inzaghi's formation can it really accommodate Lautaro Martinez. We have heard of rumors of him leaving as well. But the teams that were beating him, you were saying to Tottenham, no, I cannot come to a non-Europe team. But it's going to be a long season. I'm believing Inter Milan is going to do great as well this season.
Maybe retain it again?
Yeah, probably. I was looking at Juve. Maybe I would just jump as well to the Juventus game. They were leading 2-0. They had Chiellini on the bench. They had Ronaldo on the bench. They have the European star, Europe, the Europe star, Chiesa on the bench.
Yeah.
So
you wonder, like, what what was actually going on, eh?
Yeah, I wonder what was actually going on. Are they going to challenge?
You kind of feel with the squad depth that they have as Juventus that they will be there and thereabouts. There's another team that people seem to be sidelining, and this will be, of course, as we're tying up the show now, looking at AC Milan.
Yeah.
I think AC Milan, many people look at the squad and say, well, anyway, they lost Kalanoglu. That was a big loss. But they still got the likes of Frank Kessie.
Yes.
They made a very good buy in terms of their defense in Fikayo Tomori. I think Chelsea should not have let go of that guy. But anyway, look, he's gone. It seems like Timo Bakayoko is finding himself again at AC Milan. And then, of course, who can forget the man of the headlines, the Lion himself.
The Lion himself, alongside Olivier Giroud.
Olivier Giroud.
Yeah.
That is Zlatan Ibrahimovic. So you kind of feel like this is a side that will pose problems in that top three. And who knows, might actually even come through and pip these two sides if they don't take care.
Very true. Actually, I'll also add, you know, Jose can just come up with some surprises.
Yeah, for AS Roma, yeah. I mean, Tammy Abraham actually had a fantastic debut as well, scoring some goals there. So I think that the Italian Serie A will be something to look out for, to watch out for.
Yes.
I would love to hear your prediction. Who do you think is going to win the title? I am siding with Inter Milan. I still think that they've got the quality to maybe hold off this opposition. Juventus in a closer second. And then the fight for third might be between AC Milan and AS Roma. I think Jose Mourinho has brought back that quality factor to AS Roma, and everybody is going to be listening to him, because ultimately at the end of the day, if they don't listen to him,
If you could make headlines in the preseason game, being red carded in a preseason game, obviously we will hear of Jose.
Oh yes.
As the season progresses.
Oh yes, most definitely. And we're also going to be keeping our tabs and eyes on what is happening in La Liga. We saw Barcelona coming through with a 1-0 draw, and they will be expected to do better. They are currently merciless, but hopefully they'll be able to move ahead with the likes of Depay. Real Madrid is seemingly out of the blocks now, but not not necessarily looking too good. We'll see whether Ancelotti will uplift that, because his first match he won 4-1, which was good, but second match wasn't so great a performance.
It was not so great coming from, but I like the character, because they were trailing, at one point they were trailing 3-1. And they managed to score two goals and managed to get a point from the game. Brilliant play from Vinicius Junior. But it's going to be, I think, defensive-wise, people are looking at Militao. He is the man they are looking at right now. He is the main man. Nacho has been in and out. Nacho Fernandez has been in and out. And Alaba as well can as well play the CB role, but like what he said when he came to Madrid, he was like, I can play a lot of positions. I don't want to be at CB. So maybe with that attitude, if he's fielded as a CB, is he going to produce some performances? But Militao, I think he needs to up his game. Somebody needs to tell him, you know what, there's no more Ramos, there's no more Varane. You are the man. All eyes are on you. And going forward, Bell has found his feet. Maybe it's because of his relationship with Ancelotti, but it's going to be a wonderful season in La Liga as well. Atletico Madrid will be there as well to challenge. I think they are the most stable squad.
Yeah, at the present moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely haven't lost anybody. And it looks like they're going to go forward with that. Well, anyway, look, it brings us to the end of the show. We could talk all day about footballing
Yes.
issues, athletics, and so on. But we're going to be coming back again on Wednesday with another episode of Sports Extra. A great big thank you to you, Delight, for coming through, for analyzing. You'll be seeing more of him as well as we continue to bring you Sports Extra. Don't forget to like our Facebook page and follow our Instagram handle, that is at Sports Extra Zim. Also subscribe to the Sports Extra Fantasy Football League. $200 is up for grabs at the end of the season.
On that, you didn't even actually tell me how you fared on fantasy.
Wow. I was okay this weekend. I made a lot of sales and I was like minus 12 points to try and make sure. But I made sure that Paul Pogba was my captain. He provided an assist, so that was good for me.
Yeah.
I also ensured that I had some Chelsea players in there. So Antonio Rudiger provided a clean sheet for me.
Wow.
Unfortunately, Kai Havertz didn't score, but I had. Why should I sell Kai? I expected him to do something. So maybe I might sell him for Lukaku. Who knows? We'll see what will happen there. But I had my Kai Havertz there. And then I also had Mikel in Antonio. So we'll see what he will do tonight against Leicester City for West Ham. I had Gabriel Jesus. He provided 2 assists.
Wow.
So that was good. And then in goal, I also had Hugo Lloris, and he provided another clean sheet for me. So I had a pretty decent weekend, but I think I will be only properly rolling when I get into the next weekend because I had a horrible start.
Just wish Antonio won't score anything.
He is going to score tonight. You have to score, Antonio. So hope you score. But other than that, make sure you tune into the next episode as well as to all of the content we're posting up on YouTube. Also, if you would like to participate in Word on the Street, we're going to be getting a number for you to send videos to us that we can also post on our Facebook page so that you can tell us your thoughts and your comments as well if you're not going to be commenting in our comment section. So until next time, cheerio.